Going live. Sound is good. Video is good. This episode of the Broken Brain podcast and YouTube simulcast may now commence. The Broken Brain. Welcome, friends, brainiacs and YouTubers alike. This is The Broken Brain, your weekly dose of mental health. Today's episode is a simulcast, YouTube and iTunes and other podcast applications show, where we're going to be talking for just a few minutes. I am, of course, your host, psychotherapist, and Scarecrow and Mrs. King superfan, Dwight Hurst. Look that reference up on the internet there, kids. This, of course, is Brainy. He's not on this episode. Brainy is our mascot of our show. If you want to see more of him, then check out our Vine channel. It's just under my name, Dwight Hurst, on Vine. You can see that and the various silly things that I do to entertain myself and my children in my downtime on that Vine channel, if you know what Vine is. If you don't, I don't care. Don't do it. It's doesn't matter. So welcome to this episode. Technically speaking, I'm already breaking a little rule that I made very early on into this second year of the Broken Brain podcast. This is the first episode that's broadcasting or dropping in September. And the first episode technically is going to be about addiction. This is not about addiction, however, but I think it's okay because this is not a full episode. It's just a podcast mini.
Podcast Mini is a podcast with a 7.9-inch screen.
Thank you, secret announcer. Yes, it is a miniaturized version of an already awesome product or podcast product. Ooh, that's the product cast. Anyway, today I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about being confident. And in just a few minutes, I can help you to experience confidence. So that's what we're going to talk about. So in order to talk about that, I got some cool stuff that I think might help with this. First of all, let me get right to it. I think we are screwed up in how we think about confidence. Whiteboard here coming up to those of you watching the video. I think we say the wrong things about confidence. With confidence, we usually say one or two things. We say you should be confident. Be confident. You should have confidence. Those are two things that we say, and I'd like you to right away, if you're struggling with confidence and anxiety and you would like to be a more confident person, then right now I want you to strike those two from your vocabulary. Don't say that to yourself anymore. Don't say be confident. If we say being confident, if we say having confidence, what happens is we buy into a myth. The myth suggests that confidence is a commodity that I can have, or it is an inborn ability that I am inborn with or not inborn with. Not inbred, inborn. Those are both wrong. That's the thing. Confidence is neither of those. When you study confidence from a psychological perspective, certainly there's a certain amount of internal self-worth, self-esteem that some people seem to have, but it's difficult to define. It's hard to nail down. That's a whole nother part of psychology, in my opinion. I think when we talk about confidence in a person-to-person sense in our day-to-day lives, we are talking about our ability to do stuff and get things done in a way in which I communicate to people that I can do it and that they start to agree with that. And so when we talk about it in terms of it being a commodity, we think it's something that everyone else has that we don't have. And that's a problem because when I talk to people in therapy and when I talk to people just in my day-to-day, I find that nobody really has it. Everybody thinks that everyone else has it, but that they don't have it. And that's a problem because then we're not allowing ourselves to experience it. So we're going to talk about what that means. So I like to do a little trick with those words. Like I said before, don't be confident. Can't do that. Can't have confidence. Can't go down to the store and pick up an ounce of confidence or whatever. If you're picking up an ounce of something that gives you confidence, we need to tune into the first full episode, which will be about addiction. here's what we're going to do. We're going to combine these words into one word, behave. And if you look at the spelling of that, those of you listening to the audio, it spells behave, doesn't it? Behave confidence, not confidently. I want you to behave confidence. That's the idea. See how clever that was? I could stop right there and feel very clever, but I won't. Let me tell you what I'm talking about because it might not be intuitive. Confidence is a behavior. I was talking a few months ago to an expert in resiliency, a psychologist named Rebecca Dempsey, who works with people who work in third world countries who have a lot of trauma that they're exposed to, a lot of secondary trauma as they talk to refugees about torture and attacks and things. And she teaches them that resilience, the ability to survive trauma and transcend it, is not a magical ability. It is a behavior. It is, there are things you can do that will make you more that way. And that's the same thing with confidence. Confidence is a social contract that we form with other people. We can behave confidence and gain it. This is one of the reasons why any of you out there have situations in your life that you could walk into right now where you would be very, very confident. It might be that you're a confident public speaker. It might be that you're confident at your job. It might be that you're confident at a family reunion, your Dungeons and Dragons group, your bowling league, your whatever, LARPing group. I don't know which direction I'm going here, but it could be anything. There is a place where you go where you feel confident. It could be the gym. It could be an ice cream, whatever. I'll stop naming things. You also have places that you go where you feel terrified, okay? And so it's not anything that's inherent to you. And I will tell you that it's not magically just the place you're going to. There's something that triggers you to feel certain things or experience certain things that make you either experience and display confidence or not. And that's what we can do. We can tweak that. We can hack that in a way. What is confidence really? It's not always well defined, much like self-esteem. In order to behave confidence, what we're really trying to send people, I find it's easier to think of a few words. Think of being calm and think of belonging. Being calm, sending forth nonverbal and verbal behaviors that say, I'm calm right now. Whether I am or not is a whole different matter. But if I can behave in that way, people start to believe that and they feel calm in response to that. A sense of belonging. Being confident doesn't mean that you have to feel like this is my place. I own this place. I'm the big man on campus or big woman on campus or however you want to say that. That's not necessary. That's actually narcissism. If you think of the exact opposite of being a socially anxious person, it's not really desirable. Nobody wants to be that guy who's walking in owning the place like, I don't know, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, I guess. Maybe you do want to be that guy. This is the wrong podcast for you. So communicating that you're calm and that you don't own the place, but you certainly belong there. I can be here. I am comfortable being here would be a better way to say that. So if you can communicate calmness and comfort, which by the way, that's better because it also starts with a C. See that? How you're here for this content creation? Ooh, those are both C words also. So to behave with confidence means that you are displaying calmness and comfort with where you are. Now, notice I said displaying it, showing it. If we get back to this idea of I have to be calm and be comfortable anywhere I go, then we're getting back to this idea of a commodity. I have this magic power to just belong everywhere I am. I have this magic power to always be calm. Nobody has that really. That's fake. That's not a real thing. So what do I need instead is I need to behave that way. Most of this boils down to our nonverbal behavior. Let me give you a couple examples of nonverbal behavior. Get it? I said nonverbal behavior and then I stopped talking. Anyway, so here's a part of your body I want you to focus on. Don't worry, it's nothing weird. I want you to look at these three things. This is the first tip here, is three things. 3 parts of your body: your head, your eyes, and your shoulders. Okay? Those are the things I want you to think about for a minute. Think to yourself about what you do with those 3 items when you are feeling anxious, filled with dread, and when you are feeling the opposite of confidence. What do? You kind of tend to look down. Maybe your head kind of slumps a little. Maybe that was a little extreme what I just did on the video. And your shoulders are probably shrinking inwards, trying to hide, kind of thing. It's almost like you're trying to say, don't notice me, everyone, because I don't want you to, because I'm not confident, because I believe I have to have this magical power imbued within me to be confident. So what is a more confident behavior? Notice how I'm moving right now. If I can keep my head mostly up and down like this, it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but I'll tell you, it's a little unnerving when you're staring into a webcam because you always notice if your head's perfectly straight or not. Where are my eyes? They're looking ahead most of the time. A lot of the time they're looking at whoever I'm talking to. Not all the time, by the way. If you caught my eyes just moving just there because I'm thinking about it. But if I'm staring directly into the webcam and not taking my eyes off for the entire duration of this video, that might be a bit creepy. I'm not sure. You'll have to tell me in the comments because I read all of them, people. All of them. You should always read all the YouTube comments of your videos. That's bad advice, but that's a different podcast. What I do is I vary my gaze a little bit, just naturally. You don't have to look at someone all the time that they're talking. If I look down to check the volume levels on the sound recording, if I glance off to the side, if I look up and curse the huge jet that's flying overhead while I'm trying to record this, yeah, that's just natural. Your eyes move around, but they're looking forward most of the time. What are my shoulders doing? Well, they're pretty straight. If you think about shoulders as like kind of a teeter-totter of confidence, if they lean this way forward, it's like I'm shrinking and bringing them in and hiding myself, and I'm not that confident. If they lean back too far, well, then I probably going to have posture problems, and maybe I'm becoming that Gaston guy who's sticking his chest out and trying to take over. But if they're just kind of in the middle, they're balanced and perfectly fine, and that's the way a teeter-totter works, right? When it's perfectly balanced is when it's the most fun. That's not true. So 3 body parts, head, eyes, shoulders. If I am aware of those and I keep them in a calm, straight up and down, standard kind of way, then you'll probably think I'm confident right away. You will accept, your brain will respond to what it's seeing and say, that person's confident. That's just the way it is. When they study body language of confidence, those 3 things, what makes it for people, one of the main things anyway, focus on, because even if in my head or whatever, I can keep my eyes looking forward most of the time, my shoulders pretty square, and people will start responding to me in that way, most likely. One of the other tips that you can use, this is the verbal / nonverbal, but that's your keep my tone mellow. People will also assume that I'm what? Confident. Now remember, this is all about what people are thinking. One of the benefits that we have when we're trying to be confident is that nobody can read minds. The downside, of course, is that we can read our own mind. We kind of assume everybody else can too. I'm in my own head, not thinking confident thoughts. I'm thinking I can be terrible, everything's gonna blow it. But if I'm behaving confidently, if my voice is somewhat mellow, you'll probably believe I'm confident. And then what happens? There's a feedback loop that happens. You're gonna behave in a more calm way. You're gonna behave like you are comfortable here and that you belong here. You're not gonna act all nervous and anxious because you're responding to my nervousness and anxiousness. And then I will get that feedback that you accept me, and I will immediately start to emotionally experience a sense that we could call confidence, because I will feel more calm and more comfortable. That's the thing. Use your nonverbal language to attack the idea of being calm and comfortable. Try to get that feedback from people, and you will start to experience the emotion we usually label as confidence. That's the trick here. Oh, one other thing. Let me tell you about this. You might want to look this up. You can go Google this if you want to, but there is such a thing as called proxemics. It's used in different ways, but proxemics is the study of the proximity of people that go along with that. Proxemics, the way that it's used, and this is kind of useful if you're trying to think of confident nonverbal behaviors, is think kind of posture and proximity that you have to people when you are super, super, super worried, super nervous, super anxious, whatever. Remember with the shoulders and everything, we were talking about sagging and shrinking, and it's like you're trying to disappear, lean away from people, you don't engage with people. And the more that you're doing that, you're communicating anxiety and a lack of comfort. I don't belong here. You're going to kick me out at any moment, sort of a thing. And I mean, not literally kick me out in most cases, but I don't belong here, shouldn't be here, you shouldn't notice me. And that will trigger that in them. So part of how they use proxemics sometimes in therapy is we tend to try to do the opposite of that. Think of the most extreme, socially constricted kind of nonverbal behavior, and then try to do the opposite of that. Like I said, shoulders up, head up. What about my arms? Where are my arms at? When I walk, do I walk with them tightly clutched, or do I kind of swing them naturally? Do I sit down in a chair and try not to touch anyone else? Or do I, well, don't try to touch anyone else, but do I sit down in the chair and just kind of fill the space? Not man-spreading, guys. We're not talking about that. I'm just talking about, do I fill the space that I'm in? When I talk, do I use my hands? Is that a natural thing for me that I usually would constrict when I'm with people? Maybe I want to make myself move my hands a little bit while I'm talking, see what that feels like. It's doing the opposite physical behavior. And what happens is you're hacking into sort of a feedback loop, once again, with your own body. Your brain tends to ask why you're doing things all the time. So if you're moving in a more confident way, in a more out there kind of way, your brain will label that. Most likely it will say, oh, I must feel comfortable. And then guess what? You get that dose of the emotion again, where it's like, I must feel comfortable. I'm starting to believe that. And you do it enough, you start to believe it. Yes. So there's some tips and tricks to experience and have confidence. That's the name of this thing. So now you understand what that means, I guess. Remember, by the way, this is not easy. This is actually hard work. This is not as simple as somebody telling you, hey, if you want to be confident, just fake it till you make it. Not the same thing at all. This is actually a concerted, aggressive effort radically to shift the way that you're communicating with other people. So it's going to take some effort and some time. My suggestion is go out there and do it a little bit when you can muster up the energy to do it and see what it feels like. What kind of thoughts and fears do you have that hold you back from being able to successfully complete it? When does it go well? What people does it work better with? Those types of things. And never underestimate, by the way, the value of attending some therapy around this kind of a thing if you're having really, really limited ability to behave confidence. It's good to, a therapist can help with this because not only can they talk to you about these kinds of techniques and teach you what to do, they can help you to process the reasons why you don't follow through and the fears and the self-concept that you may have formed that is contributing to this. But these are a few tips and tricks that can give you more than just the old believe in yourself kind of mantra. So that's all for now. I want to thank you guys for watching and for being a part of this. I, of course, am here regularly on the old YouTuber channel. Going to be bringing you, live videos like this that will then record, as well as ongoing podcasts. You can go to iTunes, subscribe to The Broken Brain. You can follow here on the Broken Brain podcast channel. That's Broken Brain is one word, podcast channel. Thanks very much. Have a great day.